Good afternoon. My name is Benjamin Brainerd. I wanted to thank you guys for taking a few minutes out of your day to take a look at this video and to learn a little bit about my paper. So, without any further ado, to jump right in, my paper kind of discusses the development of my hometown, Milton Freewater, during the 1930s and the early 40s. And basically, what I was looking at research question wise was what was the response of the community? And I looked at three specific areas: the response of the local government, the response of the private sector, and the response of the educational sector. And I found out some unique things. I kind of came into this research with some assumptions that the New Deal policies of the federal government didn't really affect my community. And as I found out, they did in significant ways. And that those kind of effects allowed the community to be set up for success in the 1940s and in the 1950s. Kind of some of the significance of this particular research is that I believe it provides a touchstone for the city of Milton Freewater to their past that is just outside of living memory. And I think more importantly, this particular argument, it does something significant for understanding the development of the response to the Great Depression in America. What I mean by that is to say, generally when we teach about the Great Depression, we argue that it was the Second World War that ended the Depression. And what I found in my paper was that that isn't necessarily the case. At least with Milton Freewater, there were some unique features that the city had that allowed Milton Freewater to exit the Great Depression by 1938, while the rest of the state, and by extension, most of the country, were still stuck in the midst of the Depression. Some of the areas that I looked at to kind of showcase this argument was I looked at the city archives. I read through about 15 years of city council meeting minutes. I also looked at the business aspect, and what I did there is I examined a lot of public newspapers from the time frame. And then in regard to the educational sector, I read through about 30 years of board meeting minutes from the two school districts. That was kind of fun. Found some unique things there. So, what did I find? Ultimately, what I found is that in the case of Milton Freewater, we're somewhat unique. The city of Milton Freewater owned its own power company. So, what that does is it allows the city to kind of use the proceeds from the power company to balance its budget. So they're borrowing from the power company, balancing the budget, and then they use federal funds to expand the infrastructure for the power company. And by doing that, they're able to incentivize businesses to move into Milton Freewater. And this is where the second major characteristic that makes you kind of Milton Freewater unique, and that's the canneries. So Milton Freewater is a very prosperous fruit growing region. We've got a lot of orchards and cherries and vineyards, and in the 1930s, a lot of peas. So these canneries are incentivized to build and hire locals in the community. So I kind of examined that and how that affected the local development of other businesses. Then I looked at the educational sector, and I found out that they too are really good at managing their finances. To give you an idea, in 1933, they're about $260,000 in debt, but by 1938, they're only $58,000 in debt. And they do this by, like I said, managing their resources really well. They sell property, they take out loans, they refinance. And this sets them up for building educational programs that lead to increased graduation rates and to a really strong core curriculum. So that's kind of what I find in the paper. Ultimately, I argue, like I said, that there's a more nuanced approach to teaching the Great Depression. And it's based in understanding the unique environments of small towns. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on my paper. Please take a look at my abstract and my sources. And thank you. And it's been a pleasure.